Paranormal Punches is part of the Podbelly Network. Go to podbelly.com for more great podcasts.
Hey y'all, this is Frank the Bigfoot, and you're listening to the Paranormal Punchers.
Hey, friends. Welcome to Paranormal Punchers. I'm Mark.
I'm Alicia.
I'm Nash.
I'm Dave.
And we're back.
We're back.
I know some of you were wondering, what happened?
Yeah.
When are we coming back? In fact, Carissa, hey, what's going on out there? She messaged and was like, are you guys okay? Are you still on vacation? Just been missing the podcast. Well, Carissa, we're back. Yeah, let's see. Dave went to Asheville, North Carolina.
Yep.
Nash was off to Arizona.
Yeah, to see family.
Alicia and I did nothing, but I managed to finish a short film, so I was very productive with my time as well. Mm-hmm. You'll hear more about that. And without any further ado, let's jump in to the first show after our vacation. We're going to talk about the very weird, the very strange, the very peculiar Lake Ontario. Lish, that's your cue.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I mean, what, are you rusty?
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're all a little rusty. So,
All right. Lake Ontario is one of the 5 Great Lakes of North America and is the 13th largest lake in the world. Now, Lake Ontario is known for many things, including Niagara Falls. Mm-hmm. Toronto is right on the edge. But it's also known to have paranormal mysteries, its own vortex/triangle, as well as a supposed underwater alien base.
Supposed.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Now,
here comes a Shag Harbor, everybody.
Now, a small stretch of water off of Prince Edward County on the eastern part of Lake Ontario is called the Marysburgh Vortex, or the graveyard of Lake Ontario. There have been multitude of shipwrecks, airplane mishaps, strange sightings, and mysterious disappearances, which leads this area to be called a vortex. There have been... Oh,
I was just going to say, as far as the ships and planes, over 500 and over 500 ships, over 40 planes, which is more than the Bermuda Triangle.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah, I've seen it called Canada's Bermuda Triangle.
Okay.
And that 2/3 of all shipwrecks in Lake Ontario have occurred just in this little triangle.
Right. Now, I know, Mark, you had a couple...
of strange ship stories?
Yeah. I know you have a couple of those, so...
Yeah, Dave, you do too.
Yes.
Do you want to start, Dave?
Sure.
Okay.
Well,
Rusty, bear with us.
Sorry.
We're getting back into the flow here.
beer hasn't kicked in yet. So in this triangle, there's a lot of weird phenomenon. Compasses spin wildly, rapid weather changes. And in one particular example, in 1900, the Picton, it was a ship sailing as a set of 3, group of 3, fleet of 3, whatever. And the 2 other ships have witness accounts of the Picton just suddenly disappearing, as though it sunk into a bottomless pit.
Jeez.
But disappearing and not actually like sinking.
Right. It just
poof, it was gone.
Yes. And no real debris was found. There was a couple of grates and things like that, but nothing really was there at the time. Now, Mark, you said you had a
I have a
statement.
Yeah, this was from the 1900s. It was told by a woman on board who was a cook on one of the other ships. She was not on the Picton.
Because it disappeared. She wouldn't be on the Picton.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it was gone.
Way to point that out.
Right.
Yeah, I was just saying.
But actually, it does get a little weird.
Yeah.
May I continue, sir? The strangest sight I ever did see is when I was a cook aboard the schooner Annie Mins. I remember there was 3 ships in the harbor, and they were waiting to sail home. And there had been a storm the night before, but the weather was fair, with a following sea, whatever that means. And Captain Jack Sidley of the Picton was in a lather to get underway. You see, he had his young 12-year-old son, Vesey, with him on that voyage, and he was anxious to get the boy home safe. The Picton was fast. She ran like a scalded cat, still in awe. I don't think we were...
Scalded cat.
That's an interesting use of words.
1900s. I don't think that we were any more than 15 minutes behind her, and the Acacia a half hour behind that. We were all out in the lake making good time when all of a sudden we saw the Picton's topsail come off, and then her lower sail settled. And then, while we stood and watched, the Picton just disappeared.
Wow.
So, weirdly enough, they didn't find any wreckage immediately. But 3 days later, they found a message in a bottle floating. And when they opened it up,
It said, I love you. If you love me, please return the bottle.
yes, that was
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
It said, have lashed Vesey to me with heaving line, so we will be found together. Captain J. Sidley, the Picton. And so it begs a lot of questions
Yeah.
of if it sunk this quickly, how did he have time to A, lash his son to him, B, write a message about it? Why did he
Right.
write a message and throw it in the bottle and see? Like,
Yeah.
this is really weird.
That is weird.
So maybe like a time vortex or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then there was a ship called the Bavaria, and this was May 20th, 1889. The Bavaria was in its final stretch on its way home, the boat on its way home, and it was being like tow lined in. It was being pulled in, I guess, to the harbor. And there was some heavy gale winds, and the line from the tow snapped, sending the Bavaria careening into another one of the schooners that was being towed in too. So the other boats circled around to go help the Bavaria, and when they got to the ship, there was no one on board. But everything about the ship still seemed to be in working order.
Right.
But it was like the crew just vanished. There was even like bread in the oven. So they
Wow.
don't know what happened. In
Yeah.
fact, it said that it pretty much seemed to be undamaged, except for one missing lifeboat.
So the bread was still in the oven when they
Yeah.
found it?
Yeah.
Was it all burned and charred? I mean, that could have started a fire. Cause a little damage.
True.
If they got in that one missing lifeboat, I bet like 2 miles out, the guy's like, did I leave the oven on?
Man, I forgot to turn off the oven.
Now, in 1917, there was a boat called George A. Marsh. It sank in a storm and killed everybody on board except for the captain. In 1882,
That's the opposite of what's supposed to happen.
I know, the Quinlan ran aground and the crew nearly froze to death. In 1853, there was the Ocean Wave, which was a steamer. It caught on fire and sank, killing everybody on board. 1867, there was a Wisconsin steamer that burst into flames. So the crew either died in the fire or when they were jumping ship, they got caught the propeller, which is horrible.
Oh, that's gruesome.
I know.
Just like a Wisconsin steamer.
I know, right?
And then I have one more boat. Like, there's so many, but just one that I found. In 1856, the J.W. Brooks, it was a steamer. It exploded and sank during a heavy gale. No survivors. Now, I'm going to go into some of the planes that have had issues.
Before you do,
Oh.
can I bring up, we're talking about these ships, the strange disappearances, but, also around this stuff, there's ghost
Yes,
stories
yeah.
involving the ships.
There has to be some ghosts with that many deaths. Oh, my
right.
gosh.
So, but this one is about, so there was this boat, the St. Peter, and during a storm, it went down. Now, the ship went down just a few days before Halloween. And at least one person died on the ship and is still at the bottom, 117 feet down, the skeleton of the ship's captain's wife.
Oh.
So now they say she will appear in the bay sometimes when the weather's getting bad, warning, almost warning people to, hey,
okay.
don't go out.
Right.
It's really bad. Don't go out. And the residents of that area call her Martha. Why'd you call her that?
Yeah, but we've seen it before where the ghosts have shown up before a storm because the oncoming storm actually changes like the electromagnetic, the frequencies in the air. It changes all the conditions of the surrounding area, which lets ghosts come in and predict and be able to come in and say, "Hey, y'all better get out of here."
Right.
Fold up your towels and your beach chairs and head out.
So and a lot of times divers will go to this area to dive down to see the shipwreck, and a lot of them talk about experiencing the spirit or getting the sense of the being like pushed back, not like if the seas were the riptide, things like that. So I found that interesting. Now here's another tale of a ghost and protection. So this was a story of a ghost dog back in 1875. The crew of the I.G. Jenkins, not Leroy, I.G. Jenkins. They were getting the ship ready and everything, and to go out. Now, I don't know if there was a storm brewing or what was happening, but the guy was at the helm getting stuff together, saw this black dog jump on board. It was completely wet, black dog, black-haired, matted down, looking very strange. Came across the deck and then jumped over, and there was nothing. So no splash, nothing like that. The dude was like, no, forget this. He grabbed his duffel bag. He got off the boat, started telling everybody, hey, man, don't go out. Don't go out. Because he saw this as an omen. A bad omen. Now, the captain of the I.G. Jenkins came out and told this guy, get out of here, because he was starting to scare the other crew.
Right.
The Jenkins did go out, and let's see, a few days later, wreckage from the Jenkins started washing up on the shores.
Oh. Wow.
So the ghost dog did save him.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Or did the ghost dog mark the boat to get killed? And he saw it and was just said, hey, it was freaked out enough not to do it. Because it just jumped on the deck and then took off. Maybe the dog was like I can't even think of it.
Harbinger?
Kind of like a harbinger of doom for that ship. Maybe just the other way around.
Okay. I like how you say marked it.
Yeah. It sounded like he just ran across the deck. He didn't have time to stop. And
Right.
Maybe he just.
Well, all he was going to do is touch it. I mean, he didn't like pee on it or anything.
That's what I assumed you were saying.
Yeah, I assumed
He come up and pee on the deck.
They got to mark his territory.
Right.
This one's going down. Well, also, like, the Lake Erie has a similar tale of a black dog that shows up time to time to sailors, and they take it as a warning to go back to shore.
Wow. That's crazy. I don't think I came across that at all. But I'm glad you did. Now, in...
Easy, kids.
I know. In 1975...
Fine, you making fun?
No. I'm not making fun.
Oh, okay.
No.
I'm glad I found the ghost dog, too.
I
was
know.
good. Yeah.
No, we should stay on vacation at this point.
Wow. I know. In 1975, pilot Ron Scott's plane began to bank sharply to one side, as though as an invisible giant had grabbed hold of the wing.
Like 90 degrees almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He struggled to straighten it out when the other side did the exact same thing. Now, he did eventually land, but it was touch and go for a while. And then he obviously had some emotional issues, like, what the heck just happened? Now, in 1952, so this would have been 20-some years earlier, in nearly the same spot that the issue occurred with Ron, Royal Canadian Air Force pilot Barry Allen...
Flash.
I know. His fighter plane plummeted about 20,000 feet into the lake. His body was never recovered. So it's not just ships. It's also anything in that area, I feel like, are having issues. Not all of them, but you know what I mean. Like, it comes up.
A whole mess of them, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty terrifying to have your plane just turn 90 degrees.
Right?
Yeah. And then turn the other way and then just kind of take off from there.
Right.
Oh, my gosh, forget it.
Now, the Marysburgh Vortex is the most dangerous part of the lake, where over 2/3 of the Lake Ontario's steam-age shipwrecks have occurred there, which you mentioned something about that, Dave. Hugh Cochran, he wrote a book about the paranormal on the lake. He wrote that the east end of the lake it's being a place of eerie negative emissions. So he could sense that there was something just off in that area. You mentioned the compasses, they malfunction, and the rapid weather changes. There is a consensus that there is a large iron deposit in the middle of the lakebed, which causes the malfunctions. But there are some that believe that the magnetic anomaly has been attributed to major crossing of ley lines.
Yep.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And Hugh Cochran's book, 1980 book called Gateway to Oblivion.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I didn't look up where the ley lines, but I think it's like right there,
Right.
isn't it?
Similar, looking it up, I couldn't find anything specific about the lines, but yeah.
So, not just shipwrecks and the Marysburgh Vortex.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a ton of UFO sightings over the lake. So my thought was, are they interested in this area because of the ley lines? Or is it something else that is attracting them? But
So, jump in here. You mentioned the iron deposit in the center. That happens to be the Charity Shoal, which is thought to be a meteor strike from about 450 million years ago.
wow.
And this thing created a perfect, I just lost the word, crater that in the lake that's very, very deep. But the walls of the crater are actually very, very high, and a lot of ships run aground on these crater walls. It put in a lot of the iron, which can throw off the magnetism.
Right.
But it's interesting, if you look at a picture of it, it's a perfect circle, so it looks like a perfect meteor strike, like right on. But it's also got a line shooting off to the southwest at another height. So like if you have the large ring, to the southwest, it continues at a height that goes down, almost as if it went in at an angle. But again, we know it didn't because of the circle there.
Right.
So as though there was an opening there, it would be a shaft to go down further into the insides. Mm-hmm. And maybe the UFOs are using that to get in and out.
Oh.
Well, but the UFOs, the research that I did, they were thinking that the UFOs were coming in and out from the hydroelectric plant.
And that's on the west side, correct?
That's on the west
Right,
side,
yes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if the tunnels would be more of like a
Thermal exhaust port?
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking that they were using that to mine their resources. That's what I was thinking, is that they were going into the meteor, getting their resources out to fuel whatever that they've got going on.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the way I saw it.
Right. Now, local fishermen have had UFO sightings, whether it's the lights or if it's an actual object. And then on December 7th, 2013, there was a sighting in Hamilton, which is right near Toronto.
Right.
The far west.
Yeah. This person described seeing some UFO orbs over Lake Ontario. He was walking home from work when a tingly sensation came over him. He looked up in the sky.
That's kind of nice.
I know.
Okay.
He looked up in the sky, saw 10 balls of light in the sky. He felt sick and was unable to move. Then they quietly moved off to the southeast. And this person, he said he's actually seen many occasions of orbs and spheres over the lake. But he also believes that night that the aliens were trying to communicate with him because he can't account for 11 minutes of his time. So I don't know what they were trying to communicate, but
I know what they were trying to communicate. Mm-hmm. Got any cows? Got milk? Mm-hmm. Or friends?
Yeah.
Well, here's another, and I'm curious to see if the shape of this sighting interests you guys. But Sid Wells in 1986, guy was having a deck party. And he went at his house. I think some people were inside getting their dinner, loading up their trays, and he was just still out on the deck, chilling. And he saw this object hovering. It was in the shape of a diamond, and it was just kind of twirling around. He rushed back inside, told everybody, "Hey, stop what you're doing, get out here!" And all his party guests came out, and they just seemed to watch it for minutes, and then this thing just was gone. But the diamond shape kind of I was thinking
Right.
about, a lot of stuff. Times people say triangles. So yeah, I don't know if there's a connection. I can't remember any of the shapes of the Shag Harbor ship that crashed.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember that.
I don't
Right.
remember.
The other one
I don't remember that.
You guys far too much to drink.
The
on
only
that
the only shape that I ever really remember is the one over the Phoenix Lights, and then the one that was the one that was a giant chestnut.
Right. Wasn't Rendlesham Forest
That was like a triangle
or a
yeah.
diamond?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're using the research that I did basically said that there was the UFOs were either. Now this is where it got a little hazy. Was that they were either going directly into the water. The UFOs were coming and hitting the water and going directly into the water, or they were using the hydroelectric plants as an entrance to get to their base. Now, so that's where I don't know if they're using the water, and that's maybe if they're coming out and going in, or maybe with one of the dedicated exit, one's an entrance. I don't know. But what I did find is some very interesting information on the hydroelectric plants around that area.
Okay.
Because there's a couple of them. And so the way the hydroelectric plants are, I was going to pull some schematics of hydroelectric plants so we could go over those too. But they're all visual aids, and that doesn't podcast very well. So, yeah, good stuff. So, but if you saw the size of these tunnels that the hydroelectric plants use, they're probably, 20 feet round, 30 feet round. They're monstrous size. They're absolutely huge. You can drive a truck right through it. You could drive a bulldozer through there if you wanted to. And from the actual plant itself, there's a couple of them. What was it? It was the Lewistown. That's what it was. It was the Lewistown plant, right? Isn't that what you said? It was the name one? The Linux one?
Yeah. I came across some stuff about the Linux, but
See, the one
I don't know.
I thought I saw was the Lewistown plant because it's parked right next to a reservoir, and it's there's right across the way from it there's a tunnel that goes directly to Toronto, and there's a tunnel system connecting 1, 2, 3, 4 different hydroelectric plants in that area.
Wow.
Half of which are currently retired. The Ontario Power, it says GS. I don't know whether there's that one is retired. The Toronto Power plant is retired. So what they have now is they have these hydroelectric plants with these giant tunnels that connect one another. So I'm seeing this as a network of different stations for these guys to live, and they're using that meteor. That's what I was saying is natural resources.
right.
So when
you say these guys, you're talking about aliens.
Yes. And so I'm like, okay, well, what if you had an alien base or a couple of bases, underground or in the water, you're right next to Toronto. And so what these bases have is there's these large tunnels that they've built. I don't know if they're retired. Right next to the disposal area for each one of these different plants, there's a giant tunnel that runs to Toronto. So I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. Maybe they're doing some hybrid stuff. Who knows? They're releasing stuff. And come to find out that Toronto, I didn't know this, but Toronto has a whole subterranean city.
Yeah, they do. They have like malls and stuff underneath Toronto.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, and there's apparently ways to get to these subterranean tunnels. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I found this one. I didn't grab his name, but it says there's a small opening to the underground tunnels off of Parliament Street in downtown Toronto. The entrance is between 2 apartment buildings and leads to tunnels via sewers. The underground city beneath Toronto has its center beneath Gerrard Street and Church Street, and above this area, strange magnetic effects have been observed. This corner of Gerrard and Church Streets has a higher accident rate than anywhere else in Toronto. It's believed that the underground equipment utilizing powerful magnetic fields, which have caused many strange magnetic effects in houses near the intersection, are responsible for bizarre equipment failures that often are the cause of these accidents. And also, on a little offhand sentence, which I found interesting, he said, the Indians near Toronto, they have legends about these exact same tunnels. So I was like, okay, so what you have is basically not just a station there, but you might have like a colony down there. You might have a civilization, like a waypoint for these UFOs to drop off their ships. They can, you know, like a flying J or a gas station where they can just gas up, take a shower, and keep going. You know, and then they come down the tunnel and they get into these subterranean cities. And if they could go do some shopping, maybe there's some people living there, some aliens living there. You know, who knows? It's just an outpost kind of a thing.
I mean, there actually is a mall underneath.
I'm just thinking of
Toronto,
what's beneath that.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're right.
What's beneath that?
Well, and you know, if the iron from the meteor is the natural resource they're mining, and it has strange electromagnetic powers,
right,
and they're mining it over to the western end of the lake, then that would account for the phenomena you saw there,
right?
And I'm just thinking that these, if these are discontinued use power stations, well, that sounds like a perfect government-run facility to interact with the alien.
Oh, GS stands for Generation Station. The Ontario Power Ranking Generation Station and the Toronto Power Generating Station are all retired, and they're right on and across the border of USA and Canada. They're right there.
Canada.
Our friends to the north.
Yeah.
So that got me thinking. Okay, so what? That got me thinking even more. Yeah. So I was thinking. Okay, so they have a whole thing down there. They've got a city. They've got outposts. They've got gas stations. Whatever. They got a whole thing going on underneath Toronto. So I'm thinking. Okay, so there's got to be some hybrids running around,
like an underground art scene.
There could be music scene, comedy. No, the comedians from Canada are wonderful. They could be aliens. I don't know. But I did find a sighting running through Toronto, okay, in the Toronto Sun in March of 1979. Let me see if I can. Oh, this guy named Ernest. He was about 10. I think he was trying to catch his cat or something like that. Yeah.
Was it scalded?
Well, yeah. It was running. It was cooking, man.
Call back.
So that Ernest went searching for the missing cat on a hot summer day. I kind of read that a little bit backwards.
Do you need your glasses on?
Yeah, he went down in these tunnels. No, he didn't go in this. He was flashing. Oh my God!
What is Ernest doing? Please tell me. I need to know now.
Okay, well, he spotted about 10 feet into the tunnel. Ernest, into one of these tunnels, spotted a human-like figure, some 3 feet tall, with gray fur and slanted orange-red eyes. The creature looked at him and hissed the words, "Get out, get out,"
God.
before fleeing down a side tunnel. Ernest, not surprisingly, took off in the direction which he'd come from. He took off. He split. He's like, forget that cat.
He listened.
He listened, and he said, out of there. Now, that tunnel monster, they said, so they asked a few questions to Ernest. They said, was he drunk? Was he hallucinating?
What drug were you on?
Yeah, what was he on? The tunnel monster, they said, could have been that the tunnel monster was just a raccoon or some animal. What? That's what the paper said. The editor, the person who wrote her name is Lori Goldstein or Stein. In her article said, was it maybe the so-called tunnel monster was just a raccoon or another mundane animal? Its fearsomeness amplified by the dark and claustrophobia, or maybe it was an escaped monkey. Those things can turn up anywhere.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Wow, I feel we need to go to Canada.
Maybe it was a rat that got some radioactive ooze.
Maybe. You never know. But this thing was never heard from or seen again. And it retreated down into these tunnels. So I'm thinking it wasn't, I didn't really get the vibe of hybrid happening. I got the vibe of that maybe this is what the alien was. This was one of the aliens running around. And maybe like an alien child or something, and was trying to was just off being a kid. As those kids do, they wander around.
Yeah.
And ran into this guy and then hissed at him and did the get out, and was like, oh my gosh, and ran back to Mom and Pa. That's the way I see it. I think that there are aliens loose in Toronto.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And this was just a kid.
All right.
Yeah. Although there are a whole mess of hybrids up there. I mean, come on, let's be real.
Sure.
So I'm going to go back to some UFO sightings.
Okay.
If that's all right.
That's
but
good.
I like where you went with that.
You like that? Yeah.
On November 14th, 2017, pilots on a Toronto-bound flight from Ottawa noticed a large, unidentified airborne object directly in their flight path. Now, it was like 9,000 feet over Lake Ontario. The pilots had to jerk the plane into a dive to narrowly avoid this mid-air collision. And I feel like I saw like the air traffic controllers, they were like, we don't really know.
Is that where
Yeah, they had
was.
no signs on their radar
Right.
of what the pilots said they saw.
Yeah.
Is that the one where the two blips came together? They came together as one, or no? Is that something completely
No,
different?
I think that was something else.
Yeah,
but
because there was a bunch from air traffic controllers as they're watching the radar about blips and stuff in the air. So who knows?
Now, I also came across a book by Susan Peterson Gately. It's called Legends and Lore of Lake Ontario. And she has like a blurb about UFOs. In the summer of 1974 or 75, a plague of UFOs on the lake's west end occurred. Observers reported disc or cigar-shaped objects. One person saw a UFO with a domed top that glowed orange. Others saw bright lights over the lake. There were more sightings reported in 1976 and 77. A UFO was seen hovering over the Lennox generating station. And just north of Lake Ontario, several scorched rings about 30 feet across, 30 feet across were found in a grassy field. So something landed. Now, on January 8th, 1977, a Napanee newspaper, which I think is over on the east end of the lake, they reported that someone had sighted a 40-foot disc-shaped object hovering at treetop height and making a droning sound. There were 3 bright yellow lights that glowed around its rim, and then it appeared to rotate counterclockwise. I can't read. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm having issues.
You're doing a heck of a lot better than I did. It's okay.
Now, so that's what she gave up. Like, there was a bunch of things that happened in the 70s or whatever. Now, in August of 1981, 3 men and 2 women were driving west from a mountain area slightly east of Hamilton and south of Lake Ontario. One of the occupants in the car saw a strange craft through the window and alerted everyone else. It was a red-orange domed saucer-shaped object that was about the size of 3 to 4 cars, with many yellow lights radiating from the base of it. While driving, the radio had been on, but once near the object, it started getting static. Someone in the car at this point says, "Follow that UFO." The craft slowed down, or the UFO slowed down once it had approached the harbor, and then angled itself downward and gently entered the water. Out of curiosity, the group went to the waterfront to see what they could. They remained in the area for around 7 hours.
Wow.
So that's a commitment,
Right, yeah.
I have to say. They were wondering if it would resurface. Then around 1 a.m., 2 objects were seen to partially emerge and remained in that position.
That's because the aliens on board were like, they're still there.
Right?
They won't leave.
And then the group finally left. So
And the aliens made their
Right.
their way out of there.
So yeah, a lot of people have seen objects going into the
Right.
lake or coming out of the lake, either lights or objects. So that brings a few people, at least, to believe that there is a base underneath the lake. But I know that you were talking about there's like triangles in the other lakes as well. So I wonder if there is there like a base underneath every lake, or like I don't know.
Yeah, there's I found a collection of 3 triangles, one of which is all the Great Lakes together make a triangle that has paranormal phenomena. Overall, like all the lakes have a variety of topics. We could go into whole
Right, I
episodes
know.
on each lake. So the Marysburgh seems to be the most interesting. Though.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know if there's like interconnecting bases or
Right,
whatever underneath, but
Yeah, I think the bases are all kind of connected through this tunneling system for the hydroelectric plants. But
Okay.
when it comes to the different lakes, the only thing that makes me think of with triangles and different lengths is back in Sedona, they have these vortexes that you can go sit on and whatnot. And the vortexes are just really high concentrations of iron in the ground,
okay.
high enough to where it starts to mess up with the magnetism. So the meteor is in Lake Ontario, right? But there's a vortex in other lakes.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if, what the content is of the ground, of what's underneath that. Is it mostly iron based? Because if it is, then like Sedona, they have a bunch of vortices there, and it's just they're not super close, but these are not small lakes. To be that
Well,
far away,
They're Great Lakes.
they're great.
Yeah.
So to be that far away, oh man, there's something cooking in there.
Yeah, the Charity Shoal crater is I think it's 1.3 or 1.5 kilometers across. I mean, it's not tiny.
Yeah.
It's far again huge.
Yeah.
Now, this lake that we have mysterious disappearing ships. We have ghosts. There's even a haunted lighthouse on the lake. But deep, 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 deep in the depths of the lake, there's supposedly sea monsters hanging out with the aliens down there.
Maybe made by the aliens, maybe.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, reports talk about a 30-foot kind of snake. But what if it is just the lake monsters are stuff that the aliens have bred?
Yeah.
Right.
An escape pet.
Right.
Or even just bacteria that was on
Oh,
the ship and it didn't land and the heat brought it to life. Or
Right.
and it's now in the water or from the meteorite that came down.
Right. Yeah.
Or asteroid anyway.
Yeah.
There could have been something growing in there and it just came down and it just grew and grew and grew.
Evolved.
Like the documentary Evolution.
Right. Yes.
Get out, get out. I just have a vision of the tunnel monster. Did you ever see The Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
The James Gunn, the director's brother, was like, was it Ratface? Or
No.
it was like a weird
yes.
were-rat kind of creature. I kind of envisioned that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I see, this little 3-foot guy that they found in 1978. The sighting in 1978 was just some squirrely little rat dude that escaped from his. He's like, I gotta get out of here. These aliens that keep sticking stuff in my ear. They keep probing me, and I gotta get out of here.
Oh boy.
And was trying to get out. That's the way I see it.
Okay. Okay, Ernest. List, you have anything else that you would like to bring up? Dave, what about you? It's the most you've ever talked on any episode.
I know.
So, do you have anything else?
Nope. I'm good.
You're good? Okay.
I think
Yes, you're good.
Wow.
I'll just end with a Canadian psychic. He felt that there is a negative force at the southeast end, adding that it was as if this area were touched with a very strong radiation that still lingered there. And I don't know if he actually meant radiation, but irradiated this energy. So
Bad juju.
yes,
Gotcha.
but
So to summarize, don't go in that lake.
oh,
It's a really great lake, but there's some other good ones too.
wow.
Wow. Well, on that note, why don't we take a quick break and we'll be right back with some listener stuff to read. We'll be right back. And we're back. All right. Yes, a lot of strange things up around that area. We skimmed the surface of the lake. So, yeah, if you want to learn more, go to it.
That's the pep talk. That's
All right. We heard from Paul. Hello, Paranormal Punchers. I just started listening to your podcast and enjoy listening to them. But I took a lot of interest in episode 139 regarding the Point Lookout Lighthouse. I currently serve in the Coast Guard, and having service lighthouses and other aids to navigation, you get kind of an idea of the hardship these lighthouse keepers had to endure, and some lighthouses have dark and spooky history as well. I would recommend checking out the story of New London Ledge Light. The story goes that the keeper went crazy after his wife left him for a ferry boat captain, and he jumped off the roof, and his body was never recovered. They say that he's still there tending to the light.
Ooh.
Cool. I have also had my own personal experiences at some of the Coast Guard units. My family and I lived in CG housing. We had weird issues in the house, such as my 2-year-old claiming to see a man in the hallway at night, things turned on, our blender tossed off the countertop, the feeling of being watched. Needless to say, we were excited to leave. I was then stationed in Toledo, Ohio, and the station had a few paranormal problems like hearing footsteps, doors closing, the sense that somebody was with you when you were alone. We came to think it was a child that died on the station grounds in the 90s. There was a newspaper clipping of the father taking his son fishing, and the kid was playing in the car when it rolled off into the water, and the child drowned.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Now the station has big concrete blocks. There are a lot of cool ghost stories all over the Coast Guard, from haunted stations to lighthouses. Thank you for your amazing podcast, and cannot wait to hear more. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions about some of the ghost stories I have, or anything you want to know about lighthouses. Hey, Paul, thanks a lot, man.
thank
Appreciate you
Wow,
sharing this
thank
with
you.
us. And if you have more ghost stories,
Yeah.
send them. Okay. We got a couple things here that I'm going to read. We heard from Nicole. Ghost and Gastropub sounds like it could be a could be a cool podcast by itself. No, it is over on the Patreon. Having spirits in a haunted bar, pub, or tavern could be something. Okay. So yeah, we don't. You guess Ghost and Gastropubs. You do it in one location because you find a haunted bar and you hang out.
Right.
Okay. Speaking of alcohol and food, what would you guys say is the best alcohol and food pairing? Like, if you drink or eat something, do you wish you had this to go with it?
Steak and red wine.
Steak and red wine? Okay.
And I don't even drink wine. It's steak and red wine.
Then how would you know that's the...
I every once in a while, but it's the pairing is just fantastic. Just
Okay, Dave?
That's a tough one.
I know.
I have a second one.
You failed with that steak and wine.
Wow.
I don't specifically go for specific food and alcohol pairings. I just drink a lot by itself.
And if something hits good when you've been
Right,
drinking,
yeah, right.
I pair this beer with this other beer.
Right. Yeah. Not related, but the a scotch with a cigar. It's not food,
Okay.
but that is an amazing pairing.
Cool. Lish?
I always enjoyed pizza and beer. That was my go-to. But
That's a solid one.
yeah.
Nash, what was your other one?
So
I mean, I knew you had about 100.
yeah. So there's a Oak Creek Nut Brown brewery out in Sedona, Arizona. Oak Creek Nut Brown with York peppermint patties. It's a weird combination, but it's almost as good as steak and red wine.
Yeah.
It's just weird how it works. Don't know why.
Nice.
There you go.
I mean, I'm like Dave. I pair a beer pretty much with every meal.
Right.
But ones that I love that I just feel like a beer is just essential to the experience. Jambalaya. With all the different flavors in there, some of the heat. I always douse it with some Frank's hot sauce. I love a beer with jambalaya. But it's the same way with chili. Same way with hot wings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Nicole. Appreciate that little question. We heard from Anonymous. Not the hackers.
They want 0.1 Bitcoin to get our podcast back.
One time when I was young, I saw a pterodactyl flying over a tree line. It was only for a second, but I know I saw it. And another time during a thunderstorm, I saw a light in the clouds. I thought it was more lightning first, but it stayed lit up and then shot off while still in the cloud and then disappeared.
Wow.
Thanks, Anonymous. The pterodactyl, I've heard of this phenomenon before.
Right.
In fact, a guy I used to work with, he lived out in Idaho, and he said his dad swears he saw a pterodactyl. And he was like, when are you guys going to come out and check it out? I'm like, well, I mean, we're in Pennsylvania, so
Right.
we can't just drive out to Idaho to check out pterodactyls. But that would be
line one up
awesome to
for us,
do.
it'd be great.
Yeah.
And I know I've seen other reports about giant flying birds,
Yeah.
thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds, yeah.
And I have yet to see a UFO.
Maybe you have seen one and you just didn't know. Maybe you just didn't know.
Or maybe they erased my memory.
That's
right?
exactly it.
Yeah, it could be. I want to give a big shout out to Indiana Johnny. He messaged and said he was in the middle of his first D&D campaign.
Nice.
All right.
Level 1 Wood Elf.
Okay.
Nice. I hope your character's still kicking.
Yeah.
And maybe you're level 3 by now.
Right.
But yeah, awesome, man. D&D. We got to get back into our campaign. All right. Hey, if you have a paranormal experience, just email us. Go to the website. You find all the ways to contact us. We'd love to hear your story. If you have a comment, feedback on anything, hey, send it over.
Right.
We'd love to hear from you. And if you love hearing us, why don't you hit us with a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or whatever you listen on. All right. Before we head out, anything else?
No. I don't think I got anything else for Lake Ontario, so.
I want to go to Lake Ontario and check out those plants. I think we should go snooping.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Scooby-Doo style.
Well, maybe it'll be on season 2 of Ghost and Gastropubs because we are working on making it or shooting a pilot for
Yes.
Ghost and Gastropubs. And maybe we'll make more than just one if things go right. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully we'll get your support in, liking it, sharing it when it does come out. Any other surprising news like that?
I don't think so. We're all back from vacation and ready to go. We start talking about some stuff.
Soon start shooting the Halloween trivia special.
Yes.
Yep.
This time you're getting a huge dose of video from us. And there's a special twist this time around. So
Yep.
you're going to want to see this.
The oh God, I can't even think of the director's name. He always does a twist at the end.
M. Night
Oh.
Shyamalan.
M. Night.
Shamalama ding dong. There you go. The twist at the end.
It's not that big of a twist. This is you just have to wait and see and watch what happens. Okay, any other news?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Wow, that was the shortest second half.
Right?
We started just speeding right through that.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, then I guess we'll let you get back to your life. Hope everybody's doing well. Take care. And like we say around here, if it's not weird,
It's not worth checking out.